Previously, Uncoupled with Chaos, a personal podcast. I was going to, when you were being loud sleeping, I was going to elbow you like you do me. Like if I'm snoring.
Well, you were.
I was going to
You
do
were
that.
a little stuffy,
Let's
too.
not bring this on
and
me.
you were snoring.
And
I already
This is
couldn't
not
sleep.
about me.
Just saying.
This isn't about me. You
think it
already
is.
weren't sleeping. I did feel like an elbow in the back one night.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Coupled with Chaos.
Illness has flooded the house. You hear it in our voices, in our throats. The nice thing is it deepens up my voice, and I'm more
sexy.
B. Arthur-like.
Yeah.
When
A little husky.
yeah, I'm not sure when you think about sexy for you, I'm not sure B. Arthur is the one. Maud, right?
No.
Is what you think about.
No.
So we managed to survive Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving is as fun as it is to get everybody together. There is a thing that happens for us, and it happens twice a year. Mm-hmm. It happens the morning after Thanksgiving, and it happens the morning after Christmas.
Yes.
These are...
Because I have big dinners.
Yes.
For both.
And it's pretty much relatively the same meal both times.
Right. Because it's everybody's favorite stuff.
Turkey, ham, stuffing, sometimes not always stuffing at Christmas.
Excessive amounts of mashed potatoes.
Yes, we make all this.
Fruit salad.
And I think if you would the fruit salad's its own thing. There's still some of that left.
Homemade rolls.
Yes, those are all good things.
I'm getting a bowl of that here shortly.
Well, maybe we talk about, but I'd like to, what we're going to talk about is fry up is what we're going to talk about. Have we ever put fry up on a roll?
No.
Oh. That would turn that into a lunch.
Interesting.
An extra set of rolls would come in order.
Ooh.
With
I'm
cheese
always
melted
for an
on
extra
top.
set of rolls.
So you don't know is what fry. I guess you should probably explain, because we all know typically what you have for Thanksgiving.
Right.
There's two things we don't have for Thanksgiving that other people may have.
And that would be the sweet potatoes, the candied sweet potatoes, and the green bean casserole.
Right.
Both barfo, disgusting, repulsive dishes that will never enter our home.
And for those of you who subscribe, the poem is put out there.
You surely know Steve's story.
If you've read the poem, and some of you are new around here, so you hadn't heard the story, but I am banned from telling the story
again
anymore.
For the 5,000th time.
We haven't been podcasting. There's a poem about what happened. The skinny part is, let me just tell you.
Oh, gosh.
Is I was a kid, didn't want to go and eat these things. My mom said it tastes better hot, so eat it fast.
At Grandma's house.
At my grandma's house, I was probably like 7. And so I ate it fast as I could. I was proud. My grandmother saw how fast I ate it, thought I loved it, put more on my plate. And what I ate the first time came out all over the Thanksgiving table. So from that point forward, I never had to have green bean casserole and candied sweet potatoes with walnuts on it. That's the short version of the story. I have a 5-minute version that I think is much better. But, so those things we don't have. Other than that, our holiday meals are very traditional. Right?
Although I think the fruit salad is more... That was more of my mom's.
Yeah, but that's still an
thing.
After meal thing.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it is an integral part of our meal.
Sure. But the important part really is the following morning.
Yes.
And you try to delay this as much as possible.
Yes.
To make it, because it really is 3 meals in one.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's because it literally is the entire Thanksgiving meal combined into one dish, served hot and glued together with butter and cheese.
Yes. So you have an electric skillet.
Electric skillet I use for this. And it's best in the electric skillet.
So what do you do?
Because you want a brown... Well, the thing about leftover...
Nobody knows what's in it.
Okay, so the thing about leftover mashed potatoes, everybody ends up with leftover mashed potatoes anytime they make them. Mm-hmm. And they're gross, right? They're lumpy and cold, and they're impossible to reheat properly. It changes the texture if you overwarm them. They're just never the same again. They're gross. So...
Not sweet potato gross.
No.
But
my mom loved mashed potatoes. She made mashed potatoes with every meal all year long.
Well, at her age and at her time growing up in Europe.
Yes, during the Depression.
It was a bit of a staple food.
Correct. That's correct. So she loved mashed potatoes, always made them. So we always had leftover mashed potatoes. And we were a large family. We were 6 children. So she would take whatever leftovers there were from the last couple of meals that were in the fridge, odds and ends, and whatever leftover mashed potatoes had collected in the fridge. And then on like that third night, she would combine everything in a hot skillet with a melted butter underneath and just mix it all together. And you brown the potatoes on the bottom. So you let it sit in the butter until it has like a skin on the bottom. And then you cover the whole top with shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Extra sharp if you have it. And then once it browns on the bottom, then you mix it and stir it. And
what do you stir into it?
Ooey gooey. But what it is a layer of mashed potatoes first so that they start heating. And then you pile all your leftovers that you have on top of it.
So for us at Thanksgiving.
So at Thanksgiving, it's going to have turkey. It's going to have ham, corn, green beans, and stuffing mixed in. And then cheddar cheese over it. Put the lid on. Let the potatoes brown in the butter and the cheese melt on the top. And then you start mixing and churning it. You flip it, essentially, and let it brown again. And then you mix it up and add a little more cheese till it's all stuck together. And then it's ready to serve. And it's amazing.
So what this turns into...
It looks like slop.
It does. It's not an appetizing...
appealing to look at. But it is the most comforting food ever. And for me growing up, it was different all the time because we had it all year. So it was leftover, different kinds of meats, different kinds of vegetables. There could be anything in it. So it was like a surprise meal.
This makes me think of like when the Little Rascals make a cake.
Right.
Do you remember
Just
that?
Put everything in, yes.
It's like a
funny.
boot sit
and
on
it blows up.
Yeah, I want to put that. I'm going to put that clip on the...
That's a funny clip.
It is the best Little Rascals clip.
Yeah,
this is not, but this
noises.
is not like the post-Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we have it twice.
Yes.
And so it is, it's a staple of what we have here.
Yes, and I loved it growing up. It was a comfort food for me. And so...
How could it not be?
I introduced you
stuffing.
to it, and you loved it. And then when we had kids... we introduced them to it excitedly. Like, this is the best thing ever. You're going to love this. And they did. They all loved it, even our picky daughter.
Yes.
And it's just a comfort to everybody, a fond thing they look forward to the point that whenever we make mashed potatoes, we purposely make
extra
way too much. Like, I've cooked a 5-pound bag of potatoes so that we would have leftovers.
Well, and somehow or another, during the Thanksgiving meal, I forgot to put potatoes on my plate. And I went, well, it's all right. It'll be just more for tomorrow.
And Holden did the same thing. But I bet subconsciously it's because y'all were thinking, there's more for fry-up. That's what Holden said.
So what it is, you make this, and it's not an obscene amount that we have in the meal. It's just a regular size bowl. Yeah. But if you can hold off until, afternoon the next day,
2:30 or so,
you may be able to just get by with that as your only meal to help offset whatever you did the day before
that are in this thing.
Offset pie or whatever that is. So we do that twice a year, and it really is.
It really is something everybody looks forward to.
You guys put ketchup on.
We eat it with ketchup. Yeah,
I've really figured that. Occasionally, maybe I'll have ketchup on a French fry. But other than that, I think I've pretty much eliminated ketchup from my diet.
Yeah, I do love it with ketchup. So we don't put it on it. We put like a little pile of ketchup beside it and kind of dip bites in it as we eat it.
Yeah, I don't need that.
I like it.
It's good without it. It's just fine.
Yeah, but I like it with ketchup.
But for us, it's what makes. And so you were able to do it Friday, and today is Saturday.
And when I say our kids look forward to it, we have adult children.
Because we're old.
Our oldest son still lives with us, but he's not here very much, and he works long hours. And he was already thinking, on Thanksgiving night when he left to go have dinner with his girlfriend's family. He was already thinking of the fact that he had to work the next day and the fact that we would probably be having fry-up.
Well,
he was already asking me what time I was going to get up and when I planned to make the fry-up, because he was trying to calculate when he was leaving for work and whether or not he was going to get to have something or not.
And it used to be a morning thing.
Yeah.
But we're pretty much so full from the night before.
Yeah, and we don't eat that much at meals now that we're older, and so we kind of put it off so we can just eat once because it's a heavy thing.
Yeah.
I stay full.
So he missed it.
Yeah, so he was at work when we had it, but it was a little bit later when I made it, and so I texted him when it was almost ready, and I said, "How close are you to being home?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm not. I got to work till whenever." He goes, "But I'm 15 minutes away right now at the Nespresso warehouse." And I go, "Can you drive past the house on your way back?" And he's like, "No, they track my truck. I'll get caught." He goes, "But I could make a stop at the QT by the highway
Not
on
in
my
Tulsa.
way out."
Don't ever go to a QT
Yeah.
in Tulsa.
He goes, "And I that would be legitimate. I could stop and get gas, and you could just happen to be there and give me some fry-up." I said, "Because it's hot. I just put it in a container for you." And he was like, "Oh, if you could bring it to me, that would be super cool." And I said, "All right,
What a mom.
I'll head out there." So I had Minnie, our daughter's dog, and we had just gotten home from a road trip with her because we went to get some shelving for our records. And so I ate mine really fast and then got in the car with her and took him his container with a plastic spoon in there and some ketchup. He was so excited. He had exclamation points in his texts. And I told him what time I'd be there. And he told me he was in the truck lot. So he was standing there on the side of the road waiting for me to hand it off. He was like, "Oh, thank you so much. This is great. I have to work for so many more hours, and I'll eat it on my way back." And then shortly thereafter, after I got home, he texted me and goes, "That was super yummy." So he really enjoyed it.
Did you give him like a plastic spoon or something?
Yeah, I put a plastic spoon in the container.
Because if you gave him an actual spoon,
no,
it would be
I'll never see it again.
Yeah, never see it.
Yeah, I put a plastic spoon inside the container and ketchup in the opposite side so he could dunk it. Well, he was real happy.
So it's nice to be able to do that for your kids.
Yeah.
You're not as bad as everybody thinks you are. Or as bad as you used to get credit for being.
Yes, that's more like it.
That's good. We're going to talk about the rest of Thanksgiving, our road trip. We'll probably talk about
upcoming road trip.
Our battle, a little small battle with Amazon.
Yeah.
It's getting to be 6:00 and no word from them.
Yeah,
yet.
I did have word. I was texting
so
while we were podcasting.
We will talk about that in the rest of the show. So stick around for the rest. Subscribe. It's all there. I think it's $3.99 before tax, probably $4.10 or something like that after tax. Lots of shows, more shows than you can actually listen to. So you'll get tired of us.
Almost more shows than we can record.
Yeah, almost that too. So, and well, we have a good. What we do like is our production staff is excellent, top of the line production team. We can record, and they are great at putting out good content. So kudos to that staff.
Whatever.
We are going to double their pay this week. So that's that. So stick around and hear excellent produced podcast. Thank you for listening.
You can listen to the rest of this episode
by subscribing to our Coupled with Chaos channel on Apple,
by subscribing to our Patreon,
or by subscribing to our Supercast
for $3.99 a month,
where you can hear us talk about reality shows,
real life, and more on our podcast,
covering shows airing on TLC, A&E, Bravo, and the WE network.
Just follow the instructions in the show notes.
Tell your friends about this podcast.
And rate and review us on your favorite podcast player.
Follow us at Coupled with Chaos and all the socials.
Or contact us directly by email at coupledwithchaos@gmail.com.